Welcome to the movie of Gremlins! Here we come to our first environment, which is a Chinatown in New York, and we're introduced to one of the secondary cast members, which is Randall Peltzer, who's an inventor on a business trip, but he's also a father trying to find a gift for his son for Christmas. He comes across this antique store and is really impressed by all the gadgets and stuff around. He goes to the front to talk to Mr. Wing, the shop owner, and that little boy is his grandson. And he tries to introduce himself, seeing if he can make a sell with one of his inventions, which is a little buddy that has a bunch of shaver, a little toothbrush, something that can help. Mr. Wing is not interested, however. He's like, what is that? Mr. Peltzer hears chirping, and he becomes curious. So he goes to the back to see where it's coming from. He lifts a blanket from a cage, and there he sees this creature, but apparently it's a mogwai. After hearing it sing, he falls completely in love with it and decides that it's the perfect gift for his son. He then goes to the front back to Mr. Wing and tells him he's willing to pay money for it. Mr. Wing, however, is like, no. He tells Mr. Peltzer that it's a big responsibility. The kid, on the other hand, knows the shop is struggling and strikes a deal with Mr. Peltzer, letting him know that if he sneaks it out, he'll bring it to the back. And lets him know that, once again, it is a big responsibility, but he's welcome to have it. Mr. Peltzer is grateful and gives him the money. Now we come to our main environment, which is Kingston Falls, in a very nice snowy environment. The title card for Gremlins comes up. Now we're introduced to our first main character, which is Billy Peltzer. And he's having car trouble, but he decides to go to the bank late where he works. He brings his dog in, which I'm not sure is a good idea, but he seems to have done it a lot. And then he puts his name card upside down, showing he's a little bit of a klutz. Now we're introduced to the secondary main character, which is Kate Behringer, his co-worker in the bank. She tells him that they're signing a petition against Mrs. Deagle, who we'll meet later. Seems like there's a little bit of interest between the both of them. Ooh, there's a little bit of interest. Now we meet Mrs. Deagle, who hates everyone in the town. She's actually Billy's neighbor, and she's very angry because Billy's dog broke her snowman, her precious snowman. And she's letting him know, threatening him actually, that she will harm the dog if he comes to her house again. Now the dog isn't having it. He's like, nah. So he unpulls his rope and jumps on her, causing a big scene. And then Billy gets all nervous and jumps over his desk. So of course, Mrs. Deagle plays the victim and immediately just goes and cries home, in which the managers of the bank are very upset with Billy. Billy looks worried about the protection of his dog. Now we're back at home, where we meet the mom, which is another main character, Lynn Peltzer. The dad is home with a present, and Billy's very excited to see what it is. He immediately goes to open it up and sees the box where the mogwai is hidden. Curious, he opens the box, and then we see the mogwai, which was named Gizmo by Mr. Peltzer. So Gizmo goes up, and he's so cute. Look at him, he's so cute. Immediately they form a bond, like best friends. Look at him again, look at his little eyes. You can show to him. The mom takes a picture, as moms always do, but the flash scares Gizmo. We come to the most important part of the movie, where the dad tells them 3 rules that Mr. Wing's grandson told him in New York. 1, you must keep the mogwai away from sunlight or any light. 2, you must not give them any water to drink or to bathe. And 3, super duper important, you must not feed them after midnight. Famous quote. Billy grows on his bond with Gizmo, even putting a little Christmas hat on him. And then he's even excited to show him to his little brother as well. Gizmo starts singing for the brother and Billy, but when the little brother tries to hold Gizmo, he accidentally knocks over a cup of water, causing Gizmo to go into a freak out, and they're a little confused of what's popping out of his back there. But it turns out there's little fluff balls that turn into more mogwais, and they're all slimy. So Billy's like, whoa. And they start counting because it's a lot of them that popped out. Seems they multiplied when water hits them. But then we get to the main antagonist, which is Stripe. He's very aggressive and very much a troublemaker. So Billy, wanting to learn more, takes one of the mogwais to his little brother's science teacher, and the science teacher is amazed by how it multiplied by water. But a creepy smile. He wants to do more experiments and gets a syringe to take out blood from one of the Mogwais that he got to do a blood test. The Mogwai looks very sad and he's like, ouch! Here we come to Act 2 of the story, where things kind of start to take a turn. And all the Mogwais are hungry. Billy looks at the time and thinks that's good enough. So he grabs them some chicken. And here we go to the science teacher, back to his classroom. And look at the Mogwai. See, he's gonna eat something too. They're both hungry. Something weird happened in the morning though, because all the Mogwais just suddenly cocooned themselves. And the mom was like, did you feed them at midnight? And Billy was like, no, Mom. But then he's like, wait, hold on. The clock actually was munched off? That's a twist. So this entire time, the dad is in an invention competition, kind of unaware of all this weird stuff that's going on, i.e. the hatching and the creepy hands coming out. So interesting, because the science teacher also notices the same thing happening in his classroom, but he doesn't know where it is. He calls Billy over so that he can help him find them, and Billy immediately runs to his classroom. In an attempt to befriend the Mogwai that's now hatched, the teacher tries to give him a Snickers, but it goes wrong and he ends up dying with a syringe. Billy's confused and notices that the Mogwai seem to have escaped into a little vent. Billy goes into the nurse's office because he was actually scratched by Mogwai before it escaped. He thinks he's safe, but oh my god, the Gremlin's right next to him. And the Gremlins just starts throwing things at him. Back at his house, the mom goes up into Billy's room in the attic because she hears some noises. But there's like some weird smoke coming out, and she notices that the cocoons that they were in actually hatched. So she goes into the kitchen to see if she could find one, and oh my gosh, she does find one, and it's actually a gremlin? All munching on her Christmas cookies. So he tried to get some more dough, but then she was like, oh, screw this, no way you're not getting my dough. And she turns on the thing, and then she ends up stabbing another one. And then she ends up putting another one in the microwave, and the thing explodes. And then she ends up getting attacked by one. And poor girl is just having a rough day with these gremlins. Good thing Billy came and protected her and threw one into the fire. But the main Stripe seems like he's still there, and he seems to be the leader still. So Billy's like, oh shoot, he ran away. He goes back into the house to try to see if he could find Gizmo. And Gizmo was like hiding in some laundry basket thing. Then he goes to see if he can find Stripe now, and some footprints lead him to the YMCA. Stripe jumps into the pool, and that creates a reaction. Now he's gonna multiply. Now we go to one of Billy's other neighbors, who went out to check his antenna because he heard some noise too. But then apparently one of the gremlins is in one of his like tractor things, and look at them go, they're just having a blast, but not really, because they end up killing the poor neighbor and his wife. So all the gremlins are out on the rampage right now, and it looks like their next victim is Mrs. Deagle. So they end up tricking her as acting as a carol, and they're all singing all happy, but they messed with the wires and turned her stair chair into a catapult, and she unfortunately died. So now we go into Kate, who's at the bar where she works, and the gremlins just completely took over. I don't know why she's there, but she said screw this, and she just goes, and thankfully Billy's there to save her, but their car doesn't work, so they have to run. And it's just complete chaos in the city right now. Now we get into Act 3, kind of the climax of the story, where we kind of see Billy and Kate try to come up with a plan to get rid of them. They see that they're in the theater watching Snow White and Seven Dwarfs. Somehow they snuck their way in there. And honestly, it looks like they're having a blast. Kind of wish I could be there with them. Look at them singing. Billy comes up with a plan to go to the boiler room and get some gas to escape. But he also leaves some fire, so that way it can be a little surprise for them. They run to safety because apparently the gremlins found out and they're chasing after them. They hide behind a car, and here's where we get to the climax of the story, where they kill the gremlins. But unfortunately, the main still ain't dead. Stripe hides in the department store, and Billy and Kate go in to try to find him. Billy gives his backpack with Gizmo to Kate, and you won't believe it, they share a kiss. Apparently, Billy has game. Billy then goes to the TV room, and he's looking for Stripe, and then Stripe's on the TV, and then boom. And then Stripe is in all the TVs. Gizmo escaped the backpack and he's found this light. So he's going to try to get it. In the meantime, Stripe is completely attacking Billy. He got a harpoon, hits him in the shoulder. Ouch. And then Billy tries to defend himself, throws a speaker at Stripe. But I guess it didn't go well because then Stripe gets a chainsaw. Oh, Kate found some light switches. She's trying to turn on the lights. And like that, it actually got Stripe a little bit there. And then it didn't get Stripe because he's now back in a garden room standing next to a fountain. And then he puts his finger in the water. So he's going to try to do this whole process again, do more of him. But Gizmo is like, nah, he got this cute little toy car. He does a trick shot. After he crashes, he finds the little handles that opens the light shaft a little bit more. So he goes and does this little plan. And what do you know? It actually works. And Stripe is like, I'm melting. So he was in the middle of multiplicating, but good thing he's not there. He melts in the most awesome way possible. Billy is relieved. So now they're back in the house and everything's cool. But unfortunately, Mr. Wing is going to take Gizmo back home. He says it's a big responsibility. But before he goes, he lets Gizmo say one last goodbye to Billy. And off he goes, hoping to protect the city from gremlins. And that is the end of the Gremlins. What a fun story. And hope I never have to feed them after 12 because I will keep them cute.